Right on top of Newshour, let's go straight across live to our reporters. Abhishek joining us. Abhishek, Aditi joining us live from Capitol Hill. We'll also join from inside the White House press briefing room by Gurmeet. Thanks very much. To start with you, Abhishek. Now, this press briefing which is happening comes at a time when we're just getting the news about India being taken into this exclusive missile, technology control regime. What are the implications of that in layman terms, and is this a direct victory of Narendra Modi's foreign policy effort?
Well, Arnab, to put it as simply as we can, basically India's accession to missile technology control regime means that within the non-proliferation framework and subject to those rules, India now can really get into the import-export business of missiles legally. And also it can be upscaled to, for example, buying drone technology, which was till now denied for some reasons because it was subject to the MTCR. And that really means that the defense capabilities of India get upscaled that much with the accession to MTCR membership. Also, it underscores the responsibility with which India has behaved so far as non-proliferation is concerned. And this membership means that rest of the world now acknowledges that non-proliferation record of India, particularly in the backdrop of the neighborhood that we have, knowing fully well the manner in which Pakistan has proliferated, or for that matter, the manner in which China has really surrogated the nuclear program of Pakistan. Having said that, this also means that for Prime Minister Modi, this is a personal victory in the sense that when he took over, there was a certain chill in the relationship between India and US. There was a certain element of baggage so far as his own personal relationship with the United States is concerned. And from that to a position now where India is being mainstreamed in the global nuclear architecture, not just by way of taking forward the civil nuclear deal that was signed, but also becoming member of the MTCR, US really putting its shoulder to the wheel to push India's membership of the NSG, which would be taken up in a couple of days from now. So that's a very big takeaway to begin with, even as the two leaders are still closeted in their bilateral. Or no, back to you.
You know, I think this is so big. It's a massive achievement. Just want to underline what Abhishek has said there, because what basically happens is, basically, as Abhishek added, I just want to add a couple of points to this. India is entering what has been a very Western-dominated elite group. Now, we enter into that group. So, in that sense, it's a breakthrough into that so-called exclusive club or diplomatic caucus. At the same time, the second thing which happens as a result of this is that India's missile and space programs can now really work together. What happens with MTCR is not just that we can now get the high-end missile technology, and there's been talk of India, buying these state-of-the-art surveillance drones with which you can really pound an enemy state if required, like the US Predator. But also that we can now merge our space technology. I think India's space scientists will be extremely happy, because this brings us much closer to technology that will help our space program as well. So that's really groundbreaking work as far as the MTCR angle is concerned. We are also hearing that the Modi government is working very closely, and I'd like to go to Aditi on that, on India's bid to be part of the nuclear suppliers group. And I'm looking forward to whether the joint statement which will come out today will further detail India's application to join the nuclear suppliers group. Because if this double whammy can be achieved, if we get into the MTCR, and also manage to get some kind of assurance of strong American backing for our entry to the nuclear suppliers group, then we really move up many notches on the global strategic stage. Aditi, what more details do you have on that?
Absolutely, Arnab. Now that India has got the entry into MTCR, all eyes set on whether they will get that entry into that 48-member elite group of the NSG. In fact, what we are given to understand, Arnab, at this point of time is that there has been a hard lobbying that is being taken place in New Delhi, in the national capital, between the Secretary East and the Secretary West. There are concerns that are being raised amongst various other countries as well regarding those countries, especially China, which has been opposing India's entry into the nuclear suppliers group. Why this today's this meeting, Arnab, is also extremely important is just that 2 days after this, there is an extremely important NSG meeting. So how much support is the United States of America ready to give to India is also something that everybody will be really looking forward to. China has made it very clear that if India gets a concession in the entry to the NSG, the same concession should be given to Pakistan as well. But clearly, Arnab, we know that Pakistan was globally shamed when they were caught supplying nuclear weapons illegally to Libya. So whether that really could happen or not is something that we really need to wait and watch out for. But yes, MTCR really giving a go-ahead, and it could prove that if Narendra Modi could achieve the entry into MTCR, he probably has enough potential to ensure that India could also gain access into that elite and exclusive group of the 48-member country NSG. And that is something which the Indian side here in the United States of America, Arnab, are telling us will be a crucial point which will be raised by Narendra Modi with President Obama to understand what kind of support are they ready to give, whether they are ready to negotiate with China to end their opposition with India's entry. So we have to really wait and watch out for, Arnab, whether we really get that double whammy, which till now no other government back in India has managed to achieve. And if that really happens, that clearly means that Narendra Modi single-handedly has managed to get India into all the exclusive and elite clubs of the global platform.
Yeah, it will be, because if that were to happen, Aditi, if it happens on the back of India's entering the missile technology control regime, which is such a key anti-proliferation group, and there is American pushing for India's NSG bid, if both of these manage to happen, if we can convert it, huge diplomatic win for Narendra Modi then. It will be a massive diplomatic win for Narendra Modi. Now, live from the White House press room, I can see her looking back anxiously to see whether there's any action happening behind her. We see an informal briefing coming in. Gurmeet, what's happening there at the White House? When is this briefing happening? Do you have an informal briefing going on?
We are... Yes, the formal briefing, actually, the meeting inside has been concluded from what we understand, and the briefing here is going to be starting in a few minutes. They're getting ready right now for the pool spray, as you can see with the hustle behind me, that we're getting ready for the pool spray. But I just want to let you know, with the agreements and talks that have happened inside, this sets a huge tone for us tonight for US IBC meeting, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to be addressing all the investors under one roof. Powerful room, power-packed room, where he's going to be addressing them. But this sets a tone where now he can go out and say, you know what, here we are one step forward from where we were this morning. And this only gives him a push to seek the investors to invest more into India's economy, to convince them make in India, manufacturing in the defense sector is only becoming more stronger by the day. But there's also another talks that we're hearing with China now being in opposition. It's setting a double standard and contradicting because on one side here they are trying to tie up and do business with India.
Gurmeet, may I just intervene? But I feel very guilty to take you away from that informal briefing. So I'm going to let you go for a while you can have a peep in at what's happening behind you. I'll come back to you in a couple of minutes, because we shouldn't be keeping our reporter away from the informal briefing. In the meantime, I want to welcome here this evening, and Abhishek and Aditi, do stay on with us. Sambit Patra of the BJP, Maroof Raza, our consulting editor, Strategic Affairs, without doubt one of the most respected voices in the country. Ambassador Pinak Ranjan Chakravarthy, former Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs, who fully approves of Modi's foreign policy approach. Perennially critical of Modi, but perhaps revising that position today, is Rajiv Desai. And Pavan Verma, I'd like to start with you. Pavan Verma, you've been a diplomat, you're a member of the opposition. Surely you'll concede today that's a huge victory that Modi has achieved by getting India admitted to the missile technology control regime. And if on top of this we manage to get a push into the nuclear suppliers group, maybe even people like you who are critical of the amount of time he spends abroad will be revising their position. Pavan Verma.
Arnab, first of all, I think that the entry into the MTSCR is a very positive step, and for which I think Mr. Narendra Modi and all the work that has been done in the past to achieve this goal is a very positive step. Secondly, I believe that the fact that we've joined MTCR may help us with the nuclear suppliers group, but not necessarily. I believe the United States can cast some kind of influence over countries like Ireland, Switzerland, Austria, Mexico, but the real hurdle will remain China, and we should not underestimate it, particularly because at the present moment the relations between the United States and China on many matters, including especially China's relationship
can they block us?
And America with South China Sea, they are. Sorry?
Can they block us? Because last time
they are not at the best.
Pardon me? No.
No, well, you know, Pakistan has made an application.
Yeah.
And China has backed it in the past. So I think that while we should be, I think, legitimately proud of our joining the MTCR, we should temper the euphoria.
So I think you're being cynical to start with, Mr. Pavan Verma. I think you're being a little cynical to start with because you do know, but you're measuring your words. You don't want to be seen to be congratulating the government. You're being skeptical without a reason. Whereas you know the impact of entering the missile technology control regime. It's an absolute game changer, isn't it, Maroof? Isn't it a game changer? Tomorrow, if we can use this to get state-of-the-art surveillance drones, doesn't it give us a defense edge? Do you think Pavan Verma should be a little bit more generous tonight, Maroof? No, Maroof Raza.
But Arnab, how can you misinterpret what I say? I said that I congratulate the Narendra Modi regime, but I said it does not automatically mean the NSG.
I agree.
How completely can you take somebody's
No, I'm not. No, not at all.
If I'm adding a word of caution on the NSG,
Pavan Verma, I'm not.
Is it a matter of putting a dampener?
No, Pavan Verma, I'm not. Pavan Verma, with respect, I think you're misinterpreting me. All that I'm saying is...
With respect
to you. With double the respect to you. The question is, Modi secured Swiss support for India's entry to the NSG. Now, if you have talk about American strong support...
I'm not taking away... You know, our foreign policy is a matter of consensus, Arnab.
I'm glad to hear that.
I never am critical of the Prime Minister when he's abroad, representing the whole country. I only was making a comment that one need not necessarily lead to the other and needs more work.
Okay, point taken.
And I have other comments to make on some of the critical issues.
Absolutely.
But don't completely misinterpret.
No, I'm not completely or partially misinterpreting you. There is no reason for my attempting to do so. All that I'm saying is if today, in this joint statement that you're all waiting for, that Maroof is waiting to analyze and so are you, if there is a statement about American support to India's entry to the NSG, it will be significant, Pavan Verma, because
it will in the past also.
No, but it will be isolating China in terms of blocking India's entry to the group. That's all. Now, Maroof wanted to come in. Yes, Maroof.
But not neutralizing it. That's what I'm saying. So let's do our best.
Arnab, Mr. Verma, sir. Mr. Verma, sir. Arnab, I just want to raise 3 or 4 points. One is that the MTCR is not a treaty. It is a consensus group of 35 countries, and the deadline for any opposition to India expired on Monday. And with the US putting its weight behind India, it was, for many people who observe it carefully, given that MTCR entry for India would be coming on formally today, because the advantages, as you are bringing out, Arnab, are threefold. One is that India can export certain missile technology which it produces to the quality of state-of-the-art and at prices which the world cannot compete with. So it gives our science and technology colleagues a big head up. The second thing is, it allows us to import technologies which will ipso facto strengthen our surveillance capabilities and put further pressure on Pakistan in particular, which nurture terror groups, which we can now monitor and engage with drones should we wish to. The Predator drone is one of them that's going to come our way. The MTCR has 2 categories. One is of countries that wish to use missile systems which are of the range of 300 kilometers and carry a bomb load, a payload of 500 kgs. And the second is of technology which are not necessarily of military usage, but which goes beyond 300 kilometers. Now, our BrahMos missile, which is world class, can now be exported comfortably to the rest of the world, because it is the kind of technology which may have come into stumbling blocks with MTCR. Now, what does it lead us to? It leads us to an NSG waiver. I am confident with Obama having 3 to 5 months to leave his legacy of India-US relations. This is one thing that the Obama administration is going to put its weight behind, China or no China. China has got Pakistan involved in this NSG debate as an afterthought, because our biggest strategic challenge is China. Pakistan is the perpetual nuisance. So if we can handle both of them, that should be the next big objective of the Modi regime.
Maroof,
after having sealed and stamped a relationship with the US,
Maroof, and,
of which there is no turning point now.
Okay, Maroof, while you wait, I just want to go back to Gurmeet once again. Gurmeet, how much time to the briefing now? I think we just got a whack again. Okay, Maroof, 1 second. Gurmeet is right now. I'll take a shot of that. The informal briefing at the White House is still going on, and there it is. You can see that's what happens with the White House before the official briefing happens. The informal, download of how talks have happened. That's what's happening. Very structured there in the White House. And about 20 minutes from now, actually just about 21 minutes from now, Obama and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will come. I don't think questions are happening. I think they're sharing statements from both sides. So stay tuned to live coverage from there. Our reporters also on the ground. Now at this point, Ambassador Pinak Ranjan Chakravarthy, I think I'd like to get you in on the debate with Rajiv Desai and Sambit Patra on a broader point tonight. There's so much criticism of Modi's foreign policy. He's spending too much time abroad. He's distracted, jokes being made about it. But now we see the NSG possibility happening. We see MTCR happening. On terror, we've got strong statements. Now let's look at the consolidated American support that he has got, the Swiss support. Then we saw the Chabad port agreement a week back. We saw the friendship dam with Afghanistan. And even people like Rajiv Desai, the perennial critics, will admit the isolation of Pakistan, the civil nuclear agreement with Australia, Pakistan's big terror admission, the land boundary agreement with Bangladesh, economic success, for FDI, the Africa outreach. I mean, Rajiv Desai, you can't even compare Modi's foreign policy anymore in any scalable terms with fairly disastrous record of the previous Congress government. And besides, it comes without the kowtowing, without the obsequiousness, without being taken for granted approach, without having a prime minister who sits with a US president and says, like Manmohan Singh says, President Bush, the people of India love you. I mean, that was the most obsequious, subservient kind of approach that any Prime Minister of India adopted when Manmohan Singh said that. Compare and contrast that to Modi. Compare and just contrast it to Modi tonight. Me? Yes, I'm asking you because I want you to be a little more rational tonight in your appreciation of the foreign policy of this government. Thank you. And as Pavan Verma said, no politics on foreign policy. As Pavan Verma said, no politics on foreign policy.
Let me lay down a ground rule. This is an area which is very close to me. Indo-US relations, and you know that, and it's been a subject of academic study for me. So if you are going to hear me out, I will say something. But if you want me to join in your hype bandwagon, I will not do it.
Go on, please. You added too many qualifiers at the start. Please go on.
Okay, number one, MTCR was dismissed. I was involved in the 2008 agreement as a sort of a low-hanging fruit. Basically, it allows you to buy missile technology.
So why didn't you?
Why allows them to sell?
Why didn't the Congress do it before? It was so easy.
Number one. Number two. Number two. There were three issues. There are three issues that confront the Indo-US relationship today. One is the cyberspace agreement. This is what they're talking about. There is a logistics agreement, and there's a defense trade and technology initiative.
Yeah, I'm aware.
These are the three issues that are being done, that are being discussed.
Yeah.
This MTCR is absolutely just something that's thrown in that you guys are hyping for absolutely no reason.
What? I mean, come on,
No,
come on. Sambit Patra, Maroof Raza.
I am as interested.
You must be the only person in the world. You must be the only person in the entire planet who thinks that the MTCR is just, something which doesn't matter.
I may well be.
Right, sure. We're getting counters.
Come on.
Hear from the experts. Sambit Patra is countering you. Sambit Patra is countering you. I said no. Sambit Patra is countering you. Sambit Patra. Yeah, Sambit.
Okay.
And Maroof after that.
You are not interested. You are not interested.
I am interested. I am interested.
You are interested in hype.
Mr. Rajiv, point by point. You have made few points about the MTCR. Let me rebut you point by point.
Issues.
There are further points.
What a hype. What a hype.
Mr. Rajiv, Mr. Rajiv, you yourself said that you did not want to go into hyperbole.
Now
I believe you are the one who is first entering into hyperbole. Let's not enter into hyperbole. It's an academic discussion.
What
today. Look, as far as the
do you even know? Do you even know?
Let's not fight. Let's not fight, sir.
Do you know?
I don't
do you know, for example,
let me speak.
That in the cyberspace
Sir, you know nothing.
which is a
Only
very
one man in this world knows everything. Your friend Rahul Gandhi knows everything. Rest all of us know nothing.
But is a very important agreement which involves both cybercrime and data transfer.
Please.
On both issues, the Indian side is emphasizing security, while the American side is ensuring commerce. And these are the conversations that are going on now. I know this for a fact. So please don't try and under your damn hype.
Mr. Rajiv Desai, it's good to learn that you know things which are happening behind closed doors.
In the
reporters present there say that they're not allowed to go and interview. You know it. Congratulations for it. Congratulations for it.
In the case of the logistics agreement, the Americans want access to Indian forward bases, but whereas India should be talking about.
I'd like to get Ambassador Chakravarthy in. One second. Just a minute. Sambit, wait a minute. Sambit, wait a minute. Just wait a minute.
My only question to Mr.
The third thing.
No counter question. Ambassador Chakravarthy.
The third thing is the Defence Trade and Technology Pact. The Defence Trade and Technology Pact is where.
Can I put some reason into the discussion? I want to stay live with the picture.
And the Make in India says, but I'm giving you issues.
No,
You're not willing to discuss issues. And I'm not willing to be part of your hype.
Sure, please don't be. Ambassador Chakravarthy.
Discuss issues.
Ambassador Chakravarthy, the fact is that you can't, in my view, you can't play down things like India's entry to the MTCR. You can't play down the entire very strong bid for an entry to the nuclear suppliers group.
I'm saying,
Ambassador Chakravarthy, I would like you to come in. Since Rajiv Desai says this is all hype. Typical Congress reaction. All hype. Yeah, please.
Why are you calling me Congress? No, I'm not even the Congress. I'm a well-wisher of
Ambassador Chakravarthy. Congress type, I said, not Congress.
Strategic position in the world.
Congress type, I said, not Congress. Ambassador Chakravarthy.
I am talking about issues. I am talking about issues, and you are talking hype. You don't. I have been on Indo-US relations since the early 1970s. I've written papers on it. I've given lectures on it. If you want to hear me out, fine. I won't be part of your hype.
Okay, Ambassador Chakravarthy, for a contrary view, Ambassador Chakravarthy, please.
Arnab, as someone who's been involved with MTCR almost for 25 years ago, when I was the desk officer in the ministry handling the US and dealing with issues like MTCR, nuclear and various other issues, I must tell you that while MTCR may not be embedded in international law as a treaty, it is a club of sorts where basically the advanced countries which had these technologies wanted to control the flow of these technologies. And as you know, we have been at the receiving end of the technology denial regimes for so many years, ever since 1974, the nuclear test, after which the NSG and various other technology denial regimes have been initiated and formed and have been organized by the West mainly because they had the technologies. So I think that this is quite a major step for India to be admitted into the MTCR. It's been a long haul. I'm telling you that since 1990 I have been at the desk in MEA handling this. But later on, of course, I moved out. But then I know how far back it goes because the MTCR itself was formed in 1987. So hence this is an important step. Right. And it is the overall thing. One must remember that all these technology denial regimes, if we can get into it, it will ease the flow of technology into India, and that is the moot point. And not just any one regime, but all the regimes, including the NSG. And that technologies that will flow into India as a result of these of our membership of these organizations or cartels or clubs, call it what you like, that will help us upgrade our manufacturing. It will help us upgrade the Make in India or help in Make in India program, it will also ease many of the companies that want to produce in India, because if a company wants to produce a particular item in India but the technology denial regimes does not give him the license, then it acts as a block on manufacturing. So that is the point that has to be understood. Instead of, hyping anything, I think this is the important point, and it is certainly a positive step, and nobody, I think, in his right mind would say that this is not a positive step for India.
Yeah, that's where my problem lies. That if you just want to, dismiss it as nothing very significant in the way that unfortunately Rajiv Desai did.
I did not say it was not a positive step. No,
then you need to give credit where it lies. Then you need to give credit where it lies. No, one second. Rajiv Desai, I have a problem with you tonight.
Will you stop?
Mr. Rajiv Desai, listen to me.
Hear me out.
Mr. Rajiv Desai, you hear me out.
Hear me out.
You hear me out.
You hear me out.
No, you hear me out now, sir.
In the next steps of strategic partnership,
okay, finish.
This is a continuation of that. In fact, already civilian nuclear technology became available through 2008.
You know what?
That was the more important thing to accomplish.
You know what?
So nobody went after MTCR.
Okay, Rajiv Desai, can I say...
Now, I've been involved in this, so please.
Yeah, fine, you've been involved, but can I have an opinion on it?
You can shoot me down to push your hype, to say that,
I'll tell you what's going on now, viewers. Can I just play these pictures full frame and explain what's going on? We saw the pictures coming from the US sometime back of Narendra Modi walking in for his 7th meeting with with President Barack Obama. We saw these pictures, and I want to put these pictures on air, and that will explain what I think is happening in our assessment of Narendra Modi's foreign policy. Can I play those pictures full frame for a minute, please? Can I just run those pictures full frame for a minute, please? That's Modi arriving at the White House about an hour back for his 7th one-to-one meeting with President Barack Obama. Now, I think part of the response that we are seeing from cynics tonight, and that's the point I want to take with Pavan Verma as well. The problem with the cynics tonight, cynics with a capital C, the cynics did not expect Narendra Modi to make any significant impact on the diplomatic stage. The cynics felt that only those set in Lutyens Delhi, with old Lutyens Delhi connections, from a certain public school background can do diplomacy. And here comes Narendra Modi, who does what other Indian prime ministers have not done before. His tact is different. The style is different, Pavan Verma. He doesn't do any softball. He's a hard negotiator. There are some people who say, Pavan Verma, though you understand diplomacy far better than all of us here, that he is a negotiator. He would probably, talk about climate change and MTCR separately and say, I'm not going to give any free lunch of Indian support. And that's why he's being able to break through. So Narendra Modi has actually been a surprise factor in foreign policy. Where his assessment, let me just, 30 seconds I'll hand it over to you. No, 30 seconds I'll hand it over to you.
Allow me now, please.
Sir, 30 seconds I'll hand it over to you. That please admit tonight that Narendra Modi has been a surprise entry into the global arena. He has surprised people with his effectiveness. Today, MTCR means he has put India in a pool of very, very super elite countries that are involved in an area of high technology, which will take part in global commerce vis-a-vis advanced technology. He's been a surprise performer. He's outperformed everyone, and Pavan Verma, you must cut him some slack there. His style is different compared to Manmohan Singh, and it's working. I mean, why deny him that? Why deny him that credit? Yeah, Pavan Verma, please. Please, without qualifiers now.
30 seconds, please give some time to your panelists.
Yes.
First of all, Arnab, we congratulated the Prime Minister and we feel proud of our country for having entered the MTCR. One of the problems in discussing foreign policy these days with you, Arnab, is that you go so much to one extreme, painting everything as a plus without necessarily having some nuanced sense of analysis or a balance, that sometimes I wonder whether it's worth the debate. I mean, now
you are painting a picture that Mr. Modi has done no wrong in foreign policy. And that unnecessarily puts those even who want to praise him in opposition to you, which is not what we want to do. There is something the country has achieved. Let us be proud. But I think you also need editorial balance in trying to paint the
Pavan Verma
record of Mr. Narendra Modi.
But Pavan Verma,
please don't mind my saying this.
Pavan Verma, please don't mind, but I can argue with you ad nauseum on this issue.
Yeah. No, but then let me finish and you ask the question.
Please go ahead.
Now, for instance,
please go ahead.
On the issues which are important to the country,
yes,
on the nuclear supplies group, I believe that the MTCR may help, but we need to tackle China very carefully.
Sure.
Especially since Pakistan has also 1 week after us put in an application, and we've seen China's record in recent past and on matters of our strategic security interests. On the civil nuclear energy cooperation, we'd like to see the fine print. We would like this cooperation to go ahead. The deal was begun by the Congress in 2008. I'm happy Prime Minister Narendra Modi has taken it forward. 2 years ago, they said it's been signed. The ink is dry. It's just to be signed. We have not seen it happen. Let's see the fine print, including on matters of liability. On the logistics supports agreement, which is another important aspect of this foreign policy with the US. Again, Arnab, you will agree and I will agree.
No, I need to argue with this out with you tonight.
To see whether some... No, just let me finish. I'll take 20 seconds more. Whether in some ways our strategic autonomy is being constrained or not, this is an important
there you go.
On terrorism, will the US now put pressure on Pakistan, as we have been asking it to do, on the matter of its sponsoring terrorism against us, or will it continue to mollycoddle Pakistan in its own interest without taking into account the fact that terrorism affects India and is a global menace? And on the defense deals, defense technology and trade initiative, we would like to know the fine print again on whether there's technology transfer. Now, these are issues which we can discuss in a balanced
all that
way,
you have done
without painting black and white
all that you have
one
done.
Extreme or the
okay,
other.
Fine. Now I heard you. Now I heard you. I heard you. You said many things. You said many things about me personally. I have too much regard for you to now question whether you are biased, whether you are biased or prejudiced. I will not get into that. However, by the way, as we wait for this is the live shot of the press room at the White House. The debate is continuing here on the Newshour. 36 minutes past 9. We are expecting a briefing by the press secretaries. I don't know when the briefing will happen, which will involve Narendra Modi and Barack Obama. That should happen anytime soon. Keeping you on top of that, I'm now engaged in a fairly heated debate here on the Newshour with Pavan Verma saying a lot of things about my assessment of foreign policy. Now, you're the expert. I'm not, Pavan Verma. You are the diplomat, I am not. Maroof is giving an indulgent smile tonight, but I request you to keep some sense of balance despite the political hat you're wearing. You've been one of the finest diplomats this country has had. No, one second. No, let me go complete. You've been a fair diplomat. But if you were to say today, Pavan Verma, I'll just take 1.5 minutes, please. And my idea is not to pummel your argument. My idea is to reason with you. First and foremost, Chabbar Port Agreement. India's policy of non-alignment is something that has continued unhindered during this tenure. We have entered into a serious strato-economic arrangement with Iran, a country not on overall good terms with the United States, while also getting US support for NSG and the MTCR. I think that's tremendous. That on the one side you can, open a gateway with Iran through the Chabbar Port to Central Asia, Eastern Europe and Afghanistan, which Americans, Maroof, must be hating. And on the other side, a week later, walk into the White House and get the announcement that we are getting support for the MTCR, right? And that we are inching towards the NSG. So you're actually hitting America with your non-alignment on the one side and at the same time extracting more out of America than a previous dispensation did. There is a basic difference of approach which I think Pavan Verma in all his elucidation has not looked at. On the issue of Pakistan, I'll just give one counter and I'll leave it to Maroof, my friend, who's the expert on the subject. I'm surprised at your assessment because on the other side, some of your own fellow colleagues would say that one of the standouts of Modi's foreign policy has been his Arab outreach. where he's entered into numerous counter-terrorism agreements that serve the purpose of isolating Pakistan. UAE and Saudi Arabia, would you imagine, in their respective joint statements condemn Pakistan's position. We signed a counter-terror agreement, Maroof, with Saudi Arabia that includes cooperation in the realm of intelligence sharing and combating terror financing. We signed an MOU with Qatar in relation to financial assistance and the illegal movement of money in Hawala transactions, a source of terror. So I don't think,
Arnab,
Pavan Verma, you are looking. These are the latest pictures coming in of the meeting tonight. I want Maroof to respond. Maroof, latest pictures of the 7th meeting with Obama. Maroof is responding to Pavan Verma. The debate goes on.
Arnab, Mr. Verma is obviously a well-respected diplomat and an expert, but I disagree with him on one or two points, and I just want to take further some of the points that you made. Go ahead. The first thing to understand is, and those who are critical of Mr. Modi's foreign policy must understand, that we have to give the man credit where it's due. Now, though the US-India partnership, as we are seeing now, began to take shape in 2005 or thereabouts, sir, please hear me out, sir. Sorry. The US-India partnership began to take shape in Bush's time. The reason why Bush got energized into looking into India as a major strategic partner, which Obama has said is going to be the defining strategic partnership for the US in the 21st century, was essentially to find ways to contain China and its ambitions. And I think there India has to move a bit cautiously, but having done that, those who are opposing the LEMUA, that is the arrangement which India and the US are now going to put together, I would like to reinforce the fact that no strategic interest of India will be compromised. It's on a case-by-case basis, period. As far as the other two parts of the foundation agreements are concerned, that is CISMA and BICA, those are things that India is not very happy about, and therefore we do not wish to go ahead with that arrangement. America has to reaffirm also the fact that America is willing to do a lot more for India in terms of transfer of technology for the defense partnership to go forward, for Mr. Modi's Make in India initiative to succeed. But having said that, I'm coming around to the view that not talking or talking to Pakistan should not be the sum of your relationship with Pakistan. As Arnab has brought out, you have to take multiple initiatives to isolate Pakistan on the global stage. And I think to that effect, Modi's efforts in containing Pakistan are more pluses than minuses. Though there has been a considerable amount of flip-flop in dealing with Islamabad, but no regime in Indian history since independence has covered itself in glory in dealing with Pakistan or China. So don't expect miracles from Modi's government.
Okay,
as far as your other initiatives are concerned, I think the most important thing, and the most important thing, Arnab, that must come out of Mr. Modi's trip is to start getting more investments into India. Yeah. If we don't get American investments, and sadly we've shot ourselves in the foot with the nuclear liability law, and that is a shortcoming of our system, and also our diplomatic machinery, and Mr. Verma will agree, does not have the stamina to go the last mile. We are short-staffed, we do not have a focus, and we do not have interconnectivity within the ministries to make the national mission come true. Unless we achieve all that, all this will remain wonderful visits with no end results.
Okay, one second. By the way, I was told what Rajiv Desai spoke about some time back on cyber security was discussed. I saw his hand go up, and Ambassador Chakravarthy as well. 1 second. I'd like to get Rajiv Desai and Ambassador Chakravarthy. Simple point that I made, Rajiv Desai, that I don't understand why a previous government of the Congress party could not have signed the Chabbar port agreement and at the same time got America's backing for the in the way that we've got for the NSG. Yeah, please. Yeah. Balance it out, Rajiv. Balance it out. Balance your argument now.
You are
balance your argument.
You are discounting my study of this subject by putting me in a Congress box.
No. I have not put you in a Congress box.
This is something that I have studied very hard, and I am telling you, you're barreling off in the wrong directions by focusing on some hot buttons that somehow somebody in the delegation has pointed out to your people. But the fact is, there are three issues. There are the cyberspace, the agreement, the logistics agreement, and the Defense Trade and Technology Initiative, which deserve a lot of debate, where things are going to go the way the Americans wish it, simply because the Indian foreign policy establishment is unprepared to discuss them.
Look at
they are more involved in these sort of large
this is not cynicism.
So listen to me.
Ambassador is laughing. Ambassador Chakravarthy is laughing at you.
Hear me out. The third thing is that personal relations play a role in ties between two countries up to a certain extent. In America, it is the least so. It's a programmatic approach. So it is not Mr. Modi's relationship with Obama or whether Obama is a lame duck president, but there are programmatic exchanges. You are being instead of worrying about this missile technology regime, you should be asking questions about the regimes of climate change, the regimes of intellectual property rights.
Why are you unhappy?
On trade.
But why are you so unhappy?
No, those are the issues.
But why are you unhappy?
I'm not.
What do you want? No, one second.
I'm unhappy because
Ambassador Chakravarthy, please. I don't understand why you're unhappy tonight.
I am unhappy because I do not expect an anchor of a respectable network to be a hype master for a government. I mean, I don't care. You can support the government, but at least hear out the facts.
Okay, now I tell you one thing. Now I'm not going to let that go unrebutted. Rajiv Desai, I would like to remind you. I would like to remind you of some of the best moments of the Congress Party foreign policy.
I have not diminished Mr. Modi's contribution to these. I am diminishing your contribution to this.
Well, okay, fine. I'm not a diplomat. I'm fine with that. But I just like to remind you before I go to Ambassador Chakravarthy that all I remember is that there was a foreign minister of India, and that foreign minister of India was called S.M. Krishna. This gentleman sat silently as Pakistan's foreign minister compared. Listen to me, listen to the full story. Listen to the full story. Anecdote is not politics. The foreign minister of India, S.M. Krishna, I'm not reminding you of the moment when he took another country's name while addressing the United Nations because he carried the wrong slip of paper. He was so spaced out. The fact is, he sat silently.
What does that have to do with it?
Now, these are pictures of Modi with Prime Minister Modi with Barack Obama coming in. I'm putting the latest pictures. We're expecting a briefing to come in. All I'm saying is the previous foreign policy was one where S.M. Krishna sat silently as Pakistan's foreign minister compared India's Home Secretary G.K. Pillai to Hafiz Saeed after Pillai indulged in some plain talk on the eve of the meeting between the two ministers. And instead of supporting him, the minister actually expressed disappointment with him a few days later. That is what I call a compromise of foreign policy and national interest. Now, that's not happening now.
Arnab,
Ambassador Chakravarthy. Ambassador Chakravarthy is responding. Ambassador,
it's important to remember.
Ambassador, go ahead. Go ahead.
Arnab, it's important to remember that opportunities have also come up globally, given the change in the global situation. The rise of China, the nuclear deal with Iran has opened up opportunities, and I think Mr. Modi has been able to exercise these options very well, because that is how, although there's a lot of background to Chabahar, we all agree, there's a whole lot of background to the nuclear deal, and there's a whole lot of background to everything. But the point is, how do you engage? For example, you mentioned the West Asian engagement with countries like Saudi Arabia and UAE. I think these have been very extremely useful. For example, sending signals to Pakistan particularly, that look, we can also be friends with them. But then Obama himself has also, through the nuclear deal, also sent messages to Saudi Arabia and the Gulf countries that look, we have to live with Iran, and we need to take Iran out of the box, the sanctions box, which is going to happen now. So I think all these together have helped the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, to have more options in terms of foreign policy. And I think that is a very important point. And we must not forget that. And the rise of China in Asia, for example, has given us more options, for example, with Japan, with Southeast Asian nations. So India today is well placed in to exercise these options, and this government led by Prime Minister Modi has been successful in doing so.
Okay, I'd like at this stage Pavan Verma and Sambit Patra to come in. First, Pavan Verma, please. Yes, Pavan Verma. By the way, I want to remind our viewers that these are the latest pictures coming in of the Modi-Obama meeting. Obviously, quite affectionate and warm there with each other, as is evident. And we have yet to get the tape. The reporters are coming out to the briefing room, and we should be cutting live in some time to DC. Yes, Pavan Verma. Pavan Verma.
Very quickly. First of all, Arnab, the legitimate achievements of any government need to be acknowledged. And it's not that this government has been without any of these. But I do want to make the point that foreign policy is a continuum. Of course, S.M. Krishna in many of his activities was an embarrassment.
Yeah.
But it is not as if there were no achievements on that end, including the Nuclear Energy Cooperation Agreement signed by Prime Minister Manmohan Singh.
Which has been in cold storage for 6 years.
Principal substantive for... Yes. And part of the follow-up lies also with this government.
Yeah, but
I want to say that if you look at the neighborhood, but no, Arnab, please, because you are the editorial anchor of this program. It's not as if this foreign policy has been without its blemishes. Look at the policy towards Pakistan. Look at the policy towards Nepal. There are issues which need to be discussed.
Okay, I think we get some audio on that. We're getting some audio on that. Let's cut live. Let's cut live. Let's go full frame. Let's see if we get audio on that.
And the incredible hospitality and warmth that was shown by the people of India during our visit.
आज भी गणतंत्र दिवस पर जो हमारे ने की और जो हमने जो कुछ खूबसूरत यादें मेरे जहन में अभी तक मौजूद हैं, मैं बहुत ही आभारी हूँ.
As the world's two largest democracies and countries with strong bonds between our peoples, businesses, scientific education, it's natural that the United States and India deepen and broaden our partnership across a whole range of issues.
दो बड़े देश जो गणतंत्र हैं उनका आपस में इस तरह से मिलना और उनका आपस में महत्व उठाना ये बहुत स्वाभाविक है.
In Paris, joining of forces between India and the United States helped for the historic agreement that essentially realized climate change. We discussed how we can, as quickly as possible, bring the Paris Agreement into force, how we can make sure that the climate financing that's necessary for India to be able to embark on a bold vision for solar energy, clean energy that Prime Minister Modi has laid out can be accomplished. And the agreements, memorandum that we've reached, I think reflect the seriousness with which both of us take the climate change.
पेरिस समझौते में जो हमने ऐतिहासिक समझौते पर हस्ताक्षर किए हैं उससे यही पता चलता है किस तरह से हम अपने जलवायु परिवर्तन और स्वच्छ ऊर्जा पर हम ध्यान दे रहे हैं और इससे पता चलता है कि किस तरह से दोनों देश इस बारे में बहुत ही ज़्यादा गंभीर रूप से ले रहे हैं.
We discussed the climate financing that's necessary for India to be able to embark on the bold vision for solar energy and clean energy that Prime Minister Modi has laid out can be accomplished. And the agreements, memorandum that we've reached, I think reflect the seriousness with which both of us take the climate change issue.
पेरिस समझौते में जो हमने ऐतिहासिक समझौते पर हस्ताक्षर किए हैं उससे यही पता चलता है किस तरह से हम अपने जलवायु परिवर्तन और स्वच्छ ऊर्जा पर हम ध्यान दे रहे हैं और इससे पता चलता है कि किस तरह से दोनों देश इस बारे में बहुत ही ज़्यादा गंभीर रूप से ले रहे हैं.
We discussed, in addition, the progress that we've made around civil nuclear energy, and I indicated our support for India becoming part of the nuclear suppliers group, the abilities for technologies that are critical to India's development and prosperity being available. And we also discussed in that same context our important work together around the non-proliferation of nuclear materials and technologies that could end up falling into the wrong hands. And very much appreciated the Prime Minister's very effective interventions and participation in our nuclear security summit.
हमने इस बारे में बातचीत की कि किस तरह से हम नागरिक परमाणु वाणिज्य करार पर बात कर सकते हैं, काम कर सकते हैं, और किस तरह से भारत इसमें विकासशील हो सकता है और इसे और अधिक संपन्नता दे सकता है। ये हमारे लिए बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण काम है और हम चाहते हैं कि परमाणु प्रसार विरोध का जिस तरह से प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमें साथ दिया है, इस पर हम और भी आगे काम कर सकें और दोनों देश मिल करके इसमें आगे बढ़ सकें।
Of course, the key priority for both of us is how to promote economic prosperity and opportunity and poverty alleviation for our people. And we continue to discuss a wide range of areas where we can cooperate more effectively in order to promote jobs, promote investment, promote trade, and promote greater opportunities for our people, particularly young people, in both of our countries.
हम दोनों देशों के लिए जो आर्थिक बढ़ोतरी है सबसे बड़ी वरीयता है। गरीबी उन्मूलन इसके बाद बहुत बड़ा हमारे लिए एक बहुत बड़ा मुद्दा है जिसमें हम दोनों काम करना चाहते हैं। इसके अलावा हमने बहुत से अन्य विविध क्षेत्रों में बातचीत की है, किस तरह से और नौकरियां जुटाई जाएं और अधिक निवेश किया जाए और अधिक प्रसार किया जाए और व्यापार को अधिक बढ़ोतरी दी जाए। इस तरह के मुद्दों पर हमने बातचीत की है। नागरिकों के लिए नए नौकरियों के लिए और अधिक अवसर दिलाए जाएं।
And we discussed both towards the end of our meeting as well as intend to discuss during our lunch meeting important regional security because India and the United States have a shared vision of peace, of democracy, of countries resolving conflicts diplomatically rather than through war. When we work together on the international stage, we can make significant progress not only on traditional security challenges, but also new security challenges like cybersecurity that are going to be increasingly important in the 21st century.
इसके अलावा हम लोग बातचीत कर रहे हैं क्षेत्रीय मुद्दों पर भी और किस तरह से हम दोनों देशों की एक ही साथ सुलझाया जा सके। हम दोनों देश इसमें इकट्ठे काम करना चाहते हैं, खास करके साइबर सिक्योरिटी के ऊपर भी, और इन मुद्दों पर हम आगे काम करते रहेंगे।
So again, I want to thank my friend Prime Minister Modi for his leadership. I know that whenever he visits, it is a source of great pride and excitement, not only for the people of India, but the remarkable Indian American community here in the United States that are a symbol and a testament of the deep bonds of friendship and family that exist between our two countries.
मैं अपने मित्र प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी का बहुत अधिक धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं कि उन्होंने हमें इतना अच्छा एक नेतृत्व दिया है और इसमें एक नया उत्साह और एक बड़ी गौरव की बात है हम सबके लिए। और मैं चाहता हूं कि जब भी प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी यहाँ आते हैं अमेरिका में, न सिर्फ भारतीय मूल के लोगों के लिए बल्कि अमेरिका के लोगों के लिए भी एक बहुत बड़ा उत्साह यहाँ पर देखने को मिलता है और यह एक चिन्ह है हमारी गहरी दोस्ती का और हमारे दोनों देशों के बीच में बढ़ती हुई मैत्री का।
मैं राष्ट्रपति और मेरे परम मित्र ओबामा का बहुत बहुत आभारी हूँ कि एक बार हमें आज मिलने का अवसर मिला है। मैं कांग्रेस का भी बहुत आभारी हूँ कि मुझे कांग्रेस को संबोधित करने के लिए निमंत्रित किया गया है। आज हमारी जो बातचीत हुई है, कई विषयों पर हमने बातचीत की है, लेकिन डिप्लोमेटिक दृष्टि से उसकी जितनी ताकत है उतनी उसकी दोस्ताना स्वरूप में भी ताकत है।
Thank you. I'd like to thank my very close friend, President Obama, for this meeting today. We are meeting once again, and I'm also grateful to the Congress of the United States for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to address them tomorrow. We've had a discussion on a range of issues, and I think it's not just the diplomatic strength of these discussions, but also the friendliness, the strength that comes out of that is very important.
सामान्यतः अमेरिका और भारत के संबंधों की चर्चा होना बहुत स्वाभाविक है, लेकिन पिछले 2 साल में हमने देखा है भारत और अमेरिका, न सिर्फ अमेरिका और भारत के लिए लेकिन वैश्विक दृष्टि से भी कई विषयों पर कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर के काम किया है। चाहे न्यूक्लियर सिक्योरिटी का मामला हो, चाहे ग्लोबल वार्मिंग की चिंता हो, चाहे टेररिज्म की चिंता हो, चाहे पेरिस एग्रीमेंट में इनिशिएटिव लेने की बात हो, हमने कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर के काम किया है। और आज मैं गर्व से कह सकता हूँ कि हम दो मित्र के रूप में भी और दो देश के भी रूप में इस लीगेसी के लिए गर्व करते हैं और इस लीगेसी को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर के हम काम करते रहेंगे।
Of course, India and the United States have been working together and we will continue to do so. But what we have seen over the last 2 years is that India and the United States have been cooperating on issues that are of global concern. And we've been working shoulder to shoulder to achieve results that are of benefit to the entire world, whether we're talking about nuclear security, global warming, the concern with terrorism, the Paris Agreement, the initiative that was taken there. We have been working shoulder to shoulder, and I feel proud that we are not just two friends and two countries that are working together. We are proud of the leadership role that we have taken on, and we will continue to do so.
आज की हमारी बातचीत में हमारे आर्थिक संबंधों को और नई ऊंचाइयों पर ले जाना, टेक्नोलॉजिकल सपोर्ट करना, एनर्जी के सेक्टर में क्लीन एनर्जी में फाइनेंस की बातों को और आगे बढ़ाना, साइबर सिक्योरिटी के लिए चिंता करना, इंटरनेट नेटवर्क में भारत भी इक्वली पार्टनर कैसे बने, उस दिशा में हमने कई विषयों पर बातचीत की है।
Today we've had a discussion, as I said, on a range of issues. We've spoken about taking our economic relationship to new heights. We've talked about technical support. We have spoken about the energy sector, about funding, financing for clean energy. We've spoken about cyber security and the fact that India also needs a role as far as the internet is concerned. So these are all a range of issues that we've had very good discussions on.
भारत एक युवा देश है, 800 मिलियन पॉपुलेशन बिलो 35 एज ग्रुप से है। भारत के टैलेंट का अमेरिका भली भांति परिचित है। हमारा यूथ पावर, हमारा टैलेंट पावर अमेरिका के साथ मिलकर के हम इस शक्ति को मानव कल्याण के लिए कैसे काम कर सकते हैं, नए इनोवेशन के लिए कैसे काम कर सकते हैं और हम नई प्रगति की ऊंचाइयों को कैसे पार कर सकें, उस दिशा में भी हम साथ साथ चलने की दिशा में आज सोच रहे हैं।
India is a young country. We have a population of 800 million who are below 35 years of age, and in fact the United States is well aware of the talent that India has. We and the United States can work together to bring forward this talent and use it for the benefit of mankind, to use it for the benefit of innovations, and to use it to achieve new progress and touch new heights. We will continue to do so in future too.
भारत आज दुनिया की सबसे तेज गति से चलने वाली आर्थिक व्यवस्था के रूप में अपनी जगह बनाई है। भारत और अमेरिका दुनिया के सबसे बड़े डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री हैं। हम दोनों देश जितना मिलकर के काम कर पाएंगे, जितने अधिक दायरे में काम कर पाएंगे, नए नए क्षेत्रों में हम साथ मिलकर प्रवेश कर पाएंगे, विश्व के कल्याण के जो भी हमारे सपने हैं, डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज को मदद करने के जो हमारे सपने हैं, उन सब में हम काफी कुछ परिणाम दे सकते हैं।
India has made a name for itself as the fastest growing economy in the world. And India and the United States, also the world's biggest democracies. Both countries need to widen their cooperation, the scope of their cooperation, find new areas to cooperate in that would assist in finding solutions for the world, but also for the developing nations of the world.
हम सितंबर में फिर से G20 समिट में मिलेंगे। तब तक मैं मानता हूं कि कई विषयों पर हम आगे बढ़ेंगे। क्लाइमेट जस्टिस का जो हमारा सपना है, उसको पूरा करने में हम सफल होंगे।
We will meet again at the G20 summit, and by that time I expect that we would have moved forward on several issues. Climate justice is also an issue that we will be taking up.
MTCR हो, न्यूक्लियर सप्लायर ग्रुप हो, इन सब में हमारे मित्र ओबामा ने मुझे जो मदद की है, हमेशा हमारा समर्थन किया है, इसके लिए भी मैं हमेशा उनका आभारी रहूँगा.
We also have the MTCR, we have the nuclear suppliers group, and the help and support that my friend President Obama has extended is something that I will always cherish and remember.
फिर एक बार बहुत आभार.
Once again, I'd like to thank you very much.
Mr. President, can you react?
Thank you, Paul.
Sir, when will you endorse Secretary Clinton?
Thank you, Paul.
Sir, when will you endorse Secretary Clinton?
Thank you.
Why not?
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Everybody, we're heading out. Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
That's the point. Okay, that was, we were cutting down to the DD feed coming in there. Let's get some quick reactions. Fairly warm. Maroof, let's get a quick word from you. Specific reference to MTCR and the NSG and help from his friend Obama at the very end. He also said by the time we meet at the G20, then we would have resolved many other issues. What is he looking at? Maroof.
Arnab, you know, there is an issue that often gets missed out, and though we talk about continuity in foreign policy, personal chemistry of leaders is very important.
Yeah.
And I think we must give Mr. Modi credit for having established a very, very close personal rapport with President Obama. Modi is now one of the few world leaders that Obama is going to invite to White House. And this is the 4th formal meeting between them.
Right.
And overall 7 meetings have taken place, but the 4th formal visit between the two heads of government. So I think there is a major takeaway for India. And as was brought out earlier on the show, that other countries were not specifically mentioned in this joint statement.
Right.
But it is not very often that we see joint statements like this after the meeting between the US president and the head of a government of another country.
That's right.
I mean, to my mind, in Asia, probably it is only China which will merit some kind of a joint statement like this. Not anybody else, certainly not Pakistan. So I think that's a big takeaway. The second big takeaway is that there is clearly mention about India and US working together to enhance our inherent strength of population, knowledge, demography, scientific ability, and our democratic credentials to counter totalitarian states. That was not mentioned, but that was the underlying message, that totalitarian states cannot withstand the power of democratic states. And if India and US work together, many others will come in as partners to set the global agenda for the 21st century. And I think the third and most important thing is that with minor hurdles behind us, India and the US could now be looking, as Mr. Desai may like to bring out, at addressing the greater pinpricks between the two countries, which need to be addressed. But you needed to have all this in place to then go on to addressing the spotty spoilers, which Mr. Desai had articulated upon in the past. So I think that's the next steps in the strategic partnership, and we'll see it happening over the next few years.
I found that very, very comprehensive, and the Prime Minister very quick to underline the fact that the MTCR means a lot for India, and the support did help us because we now have access to state-of-the-art surveillance and missile technology. But I think Rajiv Desai can't wait to respond. Yeah, go ahead, Rajiv Desai.
Of course not.
Yeah, go on.
Okay. Arnab, I have been in these kinds of meetings between Indian Prime Ministers and American Presidents, 3 of them specifically. And if there was anything in this meeting, there was a decided lack of warmth. There were conversations about MTCR
what do you expect?
And
a lack of warmth. Let's look at that picture again.
Both of them
lack of warmth
were brought up by Mr. Modi.
Fine.
Whereas Mr. Obama Mr. Obama said he was talking about regional
Sambit Patra is countering you?
cyber security
Sambit's countering
and trade and technology.
The counters from
I
Sambit.
didn't hear anything about
counters
MTCR.
from Sambit. What did you want?
The point is,
One second, Rajiv Desai. Rajiv Desai, do you have to?
But I request
you have no other issues.
What you can yell and scream. You can't change the facts.
Mr. Desai, you should be happy about India's situation rather than be so remorseful, rather than being so glum. Please be happy about India's situation. Mr. Desai, can you please be quiet for a while? He's our Prime Minister, sir. That is our country being represented. You don't have to be so sorrowful over here. You don't have to shout at the top of your voice.
Any major newspaper.
For God's sake, for once, be courteous.
Go on, Sambit Patra, go on.
Our country has been well represented. Let us speak in the positive note. Arnab, let me be very free. Let me be very candid over here and state the best thing that I like today. The best thing that I like today, that for the first time I can see India speaking from the high tables. I mean, India was not a India was not a low-lying partner. India is speaking from the same table that America is addressing the rest of the world. And the best part was when Mr. Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, said in front of the American Prime Minister that today we are the economy which is growing with the largest pace. That made me very happy. When the Prime Minister spoke about the youth power of India, when he spoke about the 800 million youth power of India, I felt very happy about
security.
Mr. Rajiv, can you be quiet for a while? I'm speaking about the good things of India. I'm highlighting the good points of India. Why are you so disturbed?
I haven't finished.
If India is a great economic country today, if India is a great economic power today, why are you so disturbed?
I won't let you.
Mr. Rajiv, can you be quiet for a while?
I would be
okay, let's get Ambassador Pinak. I think, gentlemen, one second. Gentlemen, one second. I think if we were to only go and say that the only criticism is the fact that they decidedly lack warmth. I think Ambassador Pinak Ranjan Chakravarthy.
Why is Mr. Rajiv so disturbed? I don't understand.
Why are you disturbed? Exactly. Why are you disturbed?
Part of a whitewash.
Okay, fine. Now, Ambassador Chakravarthy, please. Let's look at the pictures full frame for a minute. Full frame for a minute. Possible, and then I'll come back to this. Solar energy, climate change, civil nuclear agreement, right? Missile control technology regime. Modi's intervention at the nuclear summit recently appreciated. Regional security issues, poverty alleviation. Number of issues addressed, and the only criticism that I found from the other side was there was no warmth between them. I think this is fairly warm. I don't think you can expect more than this. This is more than cordial, and the personal chemistry actually came through. How would you read it, Ambassador Chakravarthy? Quick last word to you.
I think the statements were anodyne in the sense that this is how the statements are made after a meeting, and I cannot agree that there was no warmth at all. I was not privy, I couldn't see the pictures, but I think the way Mr. Modi and their personalities and President Obama, they would have shown warmth to each other. It is not necessary that everything has to be said in these statements, but I think it was overall, I think they have discussed, it seems to me, most of the issues that were on the table, but only some of them were mentioned in the joint statement. But I think more or less, I am satisfied that this meeting would produce, I mean, it's also work in progress on many of these issues. And let us not forget, there are so many issues here, and there's give and take, taking here, there, across the table, in the sense that, I mean, these agreements that have to be signed, we would also expect that that the US put its weight behind our membership. So we'll have to wait and see how it pans out.
Sure. Well, it's been a reasonable start. Now there's a big agenda, and of course the US Congress speech is what everyone's going to be looking forward to. Tracking that, Abhishek, Aditi and Gurmeet are 3 reporters in Washington, D.C. I thank you all for joining me, and I want to end this part with the pictures of that handshake between Narendra Modi and Barack Obama. This is the 7th meeting between them. Barack Obama now in a few months will go into lame duck mode as they approach an election. Question will be up, how much was achieved in the interaction so far between these two gentlemen?